All right, so you see, this is an example of what I mean by white society trying to push a narrative that black people are the threat, and pushing this idea that black people in general are a problem, and that it ultimately means that if black people are the problem, then you have to solve the problem, which means that they're going to try to push white society and people and others that are not black or non-blacks, push them to this point where they come to the realization that, hey, we got to do something about these blacks. And I wanted to show this example. So everybody has heard this story about this black guy on a train. He stabbed some lady and some white lady, and she passed away. And everyone's been talking about it. Oh God, this is so horrible. And people don't pay attention to how propaganda works. People know what propaganda is, but I don't think people really, not everybody. There are people that I've seen point certain things out in the past, but they don't really pay attention to how propaganda works. So you look at this, how it's being plastered all over the news. I want people to pay attention and to think when they see things. That's why I make these little videos. Now, I don't get a lot of views, but I make these little videos so that some people will see it and maybe catch on and change how they view things. So this guy murdered this lady on the train, or stabbed her, and she passed away on the train. The way it's been being talked about is as if this is the only murder that has ever happened in the country. The way it's being talked about is this is the only crime, the only assault, the only attack, the only murder that's ever happened. And oh my God, it's such a big deal. Now, of course, it is a big deal. Somebody lost their life, but that happens a lot here in this country. There are lots of incidents that you don't hear about. A lot of incidents that happen that white society or the wealthy whites decide that they're not going to use to plaster all over the news because it doesn't serve a purpose. It also puts into perspective how the news works, because the news doesn't talk about every story, or they don't push every story. You may have local news will maybe mention certain stories, but I'm talking about the national news. They don't push all these different stories. They don't even push a lot of them, and a lot of them happen. So why do they pick the ones that they pick? What goes behind the thought process of, well, we're going to pick this particular story and push this story? Obviously, it's propaganda, and you have to understand or think, why is this particular propaganda being pushed? What is the reason for them pushing this particular type of propaganda? So I was just scrolling on one of these somewhere, I forget where, this was a week or so ago, and I came across this story here where a white man in, I think it was Nevada or Arizona, I think, he just broke into some white woman's house and tried to murder her and her daughters. And I mean, like, he did some really bad damage to these women.
And we start with a 12 News exclusive. A Mesa mom is speaking out for the first time since she and her children were viciously attacked inside of their apartment.
Yeah, totally at random, a terrifying attack. 12 News journalist Maria Stobbs now joining us live in studio with this exclusive update. Hello, Maria.
Hi. Well, you can just imagine how awful they've been feeling, both emotionally and physically, after enduring severe stab wounds. She told me about the attack and the idea she had that likely saved her life.
We survived. We did that as a family.
For Jackie Horn, each step with her walker is a reminder of a brutal attack on her family less than a week ago. It was around 4 in the morning when she heard a loud noise.
Oh my God, I need to do something. I can't, I've got to save the kids.
The intruder went for her 16-year-old daughter first.
I hear Layla start to yell, "Mom, Mom, Mom," and it's getting more frantic.
Jackie rushed into her daughter's bedroom with a hammer.
And he's on top of her, straddling her.
She and her other daughter, Jax, jumped into action, allowing Layla to escape.
I think I hit him at least twice. And then all of a sudden, he's on top of me on the floor in their bedroom. And I see him raise his hand, and I see the metal of a knife.
The unknown man stabbing her several times.
Pure, like, evil and rage. I've never seen anybody's eyes look like that before.
Jackie pulled the knife away, but the man continued beating her.
My eye just explodes. I see all of these colors.
Then Jackie had an idea to play dead.
And as soon as I slump over, I kind of make it dramatic. And he just gets up and he freaking runs out the door. I tell my kids, I look at him and I said, I love you guys so much.
But you don't hear about this story. This isn't being talked about. It's not being propped up. White people aren't on social media networks complaining about white males and them being the problem. The national news isn't talking about this. Nobody knows about this story except maybe the people in Arizona where it happened. When the local news has talked about it, I don't know how much the local news has talked about it, but this type of story mirrors the other one. Somebody's using a knife and attacking someone. This story is actually a little bit worse because this was like a home invasion. This guy was going around killing people. I think he said he was going to kill more. But this was actually, in my mind, a lot worse. But this type of story isn't pushed. This isn't the type of thing that's talked about. And people need to understand why. They can't push this story because the narrative that white society, the wealthy ones anyway, is trying to push is that black people are the problem. That's why you will see stories about a black person committing a crime and it's amplified everywhere. Also, if you look at the two stories, the story with the black guy, there's no mention of this guy having mental problems or possibly having mental problems. No, it's this, the way the story's being framed is that, well, he's a black man, so that's why he did it. That's what they do. But in the story of the white guy, there's just mention that, yep, he has mental problems, and that's the only reason why this happened.
The suspect is 22-year-old Lowell Dorn, seen here just hours after the attack, trying to break into another home. Police say he admitted to breaking into Jackie's apartment with intent to kill.
He admitted that he has mental health issues and he has been using illegal drugs.
It's propaganda that is being framed or formed to try to convince people of something in particular. And that thing that I've been telling people about is that black people are the problem. And so, hey, everybody, you need to go and focus on the blacks, which is something they've done for a long time. But I believe they're going to be ramping it up, which they do at certain points. They'll try to ramp it up. People have ramped up stories about a black crime that happened so that they can win a presidency. But I think it's happening now to really make us a target so that we, or so that the rest of the country, the masses in general, focus on us instead of the stuff that the wealthy are doing. And I wanted to bring this example because I'm always talking about this black purge that I think is coming. And I like to give examples of certain things. And this is the example, this example that I'm providing today this is the type of propaganda that's being put out there to make us look like the villain so that everyone around this country looks and says, you know what? Black people are the problem. They're murdering us in the streets when they're only talking about one particular murder. And there's murders all the time. There's some guy murdered his boss, cut his head off with a machete or something like that at a hotel. So murders happen, unfortunately, all the time in this country. But they're only making it look as if, oh, well, it's a black male problem. This past weekend, there were 3 mass shootings, white men just murdering people, 2 or 3, just this isn't isolated. This happens every month now. A white person decides they want to murder or try to murder a whole bunch of people. But it's not framed as, oh, it's a white male problem. They don't frame it that way. They always make sure to frame it, well, this lone wolf. I mean, how many damn lone wolves you got? At this point, it's a fucking pack of wolves. It's not just a lone wolf, but they always frame it as it's this lone wolf who had mental problems and had problems. But when you hear the stories about the black people, there's no mention of, well, this is just some isolated incident. This person had mental problems. They don't mention that. They don't even suggest it or hint at it. Because they're trying to push the narrative that no, when it's a white male doing it, yes, this is just a lone wolf with mental problems. But when it's a black crime, well, this is just black people and who they are. This is them. And if you want this crime to stop, well, that means you have to go after black people, not this one black lone wolf who we've already arrested and who's already in jail. No, it has to be black people, your neighbors, your coworkers, the people that you see out in the street, your classmates. It's all of them. So you have to go after all of them, pay attention to them, keep an eye on them, and focus on them. Don't pay attention to all the stuff that us wealthy whites are doing to you. Pay attention to the blacks. And it's ramping up to this point where I believe whites and other non-blacks will start targeting us for just because they either some people with mental problems, or they want to do it for fun because they're just racists, or some of them who are genuinely have developed a fear because they've been fed all this propaganda. And what I believe will happen is once a few of these attacks start, you'll start to see that these people aren't being punished. Like it'll be like a Daniel Penny thing where the news hides the person's information, they hide their name. White society in all across the board, they all get together to hide the crime and to ignore it. And if they can't hide it and ignore it, then the police and the justice system will just find ways to let the person go free. If that starts happening enough, then everyone will start to realize, oh, well, we could, kill black people and nothing will happen to us. And then the racist ones, or the ones who are just psychotic and just want to kill people, well, they'll figure out, well, we can just start targeting black people. And it'll start to happen a lot more. So I want to give this example. Let me know. I don't care if you let me know what you think. I don't care, but spread the information. Spread this story about this attack that happened in Arizona, because I'm not hearing nobody talking about it. I don't hear none of the white people on the Twitters complaining that, this is getting out of hand. We have to do something. White males are going around shooting people, committing mass murders, stabbing people. That no one's talking about that. They keep talking about, oh, well, the problem is the blacks. What is the thing that they say? I forget, but they always imply that it's the usual suspects are just black people that are committing all the crime around the globe. So spread this story about this crime that happened in Arizona. Please, if you do anything, just spread this story. Go rewind it to the YouTube clip that I put up with a video and give the person's name and put that information out there so that other people can start to hear stories. And when you come across stories like this, you need to start spreading it yourself so that we can kind of balance this propaganda field.